Okay, it looks like Tim has a, well, you're thinking mulling that over for a minute. Garrett, let me call on Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
Thank you. Well, I expect a great clearing of the throat on this one. Walter keeps saying deal. And so, Gary, pay attention here. Swallow that water.
Go, Tim.
If Thompson Development would give lot number 1 to the city to be added with the existing already dedicated land for the park, could this council consider giving up the remaining 2,300 feet and not requiring Thompson Development to potentially cut a lot in half? In other words, we'd get one lot, 7,600 and some odd foot lot.
Because that's what he can't do.
In lieu of and it would be lot number 1, which would give site surveillance, safety, a little bit more security.
Gary?
I'm just throwing
The
it out.
council could accept a dedication in partial satisfaction, could take the additional amount in bank, could take banked property,
Have to take bank.
could a future parkland site, or could accept fee in lieu of dedication for that overage. So you have some options. I wouldn't suggest waiving it unless you have a specific reason and can justify why you're waiving it.
To try to make a deal. I have a third option, which would be to see if we could convince the developer to grade the park for the 2,200 square foot difference. He's going to be out there grading anyway.
You're talking about accepting
In kind.
services in lieu of parkland dedication?
2,200 square feet. In other words, grade it to usable.
Could certainly do that.
But I can't get him to give us the lot in the first place, Tim.
Is it Bill has something to
I
add?
think he's thinking about it.
Bill?
Just to clarify, the improvements can be accepted as part of the dedication. If you may recall, the Salisbury Park is part of the Southgate 3rd edition. We did do an exchange to slightly reduce the size to get to fit in exchange for improvements, which included grading and seating on the site. So that is something that's provided underneath the code.
Wayne?
For Garrett when he's ready.
Stay tuned, Bill. You're not out of this yet.
Simple question, Garrett. Okay. Lot number 1 is what, 7,600 square feet?
7687.
Okay. I guess the question is, are you willing to use that lot to satisfy the amount that you owe for land dedication? The answer to that is no. There's your answer.
Don't say yes. Well, yes, he's,
Yes, the
yes,
answer
it's
is
no.
no.
Yeah, I understand. We understand.
Now let me say something else.
I just have a question.
That being said, on my particular feelings about just having lot number 1, it doesn't give you full visibility into that park. It
No.
gives you an entire area in the back side, on the north side, that is not
true.
visible.
That's true.
I don't really consider that a whole lot better than what we have right now.
Okay, and the pedestrian easement
Now,
also.
you know, this is amazing to me, and I'm going to say that I'm really disappointed that we're at where we're at, okay? This has been in the works for 6 years. 6 years ago, when you came to us with this original plat, this park was acceptable to everybody. And now, all of a sudden, the neighborhood wants it bigger.
Well,
No, that's not.
Yeah,
what the
they
issue
do.
is.
entirely true.
No, it's not. The issue is that we rezoned some
Oh,
land
the chair here is.
at the request of the developer.
Right, a little chatting going
Let
on.
me finish.
Right.
That's my
Hang
understanding.
on, Tom, hang
The
on.
neighborhood does want it bigger because they want 2 more lots that's going to cost a lot of money. And Mr. Parks, I'm absolutely amazed at your generosity. Wow. I mean, that just blows me away. A little concerned that we're kind of going into uncharted territory as far as accepting money for the purchase of public property, but that's not my area to worry about. So This looks like it has gotten a lot more complicated than what the developer really deserves to have. And so I think we need to try to move on to something that is a little more simplified.
Such as?
You going to make a motion?
No?
Because I will.
Okay, go ahead.
So what's impressive to me is that this is government transparency in action. I think this is really an anomaly to have this sort of discussion going on. And I'm so pleased that it's happening in a public forum like this tonight. I suspect it makes our city attorney a little bit uncomfortable,
nervous.
but, I think everybody's doing a good job of towing the line, and we're having some good dialogue. So carry on. Sue?
Okay, so here's my question. If the Thompsons had not asked for the rezone to put that commercial piece of property next door to the ag building, this never would have come up.
Right.
Is that right?
Nope.
And I'm not sure that asking for a $70,000 lot that would have been a $3,000 dedication in lieu of is fair. Because that's a huge chunk out of your
Well, it's not
development.
fair either way.
No, it's not. No, it's not. So this Gordian knot here,
I got your sword.
you do? Okay, I'll let Dan do the sword then. He's going to cut it.
Let
He's
me make
figured a
let me
way.
make a comment to Sue's
Hang on,
comment, if I may.
Sue,
I have a question.
Dan, yeah.
I'm ready to make a
let's-
motion.
Ready to go.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Let me comment
You have a
this-
point, and then Tom has a question,
Sue.
and then we'll call on Dan.
Sue, they gave up 2 lots to create the park in the first place. They owed us the land. They gave up the ability to sell what amounted to 2 lots. Now that they owe us more land, I'm just asking them to give up another lot for what they owe us. That's all I'm doing. Recognize Dan. Let's move this
No,
thing on.
Tom had a question. Go
The
ahead,
one
Tom.
question that I have is I just want to be extremely clear that there is an owed 9914 square feet because of
Rezone.
a rezone that needs to be exchanged or negotiated or settled somehow. Is that, I feel
Yes.
like
Right.
I'm really clear on that, and it seems like once that really fairly simple, not huge amount of land is figured out, then all this development can happen.
Correct.
And money can be made. Right? So I don't feel like we're asking too much to suggest that some of that 9914 come out of one of those lots. That doesn't seem crazy to me, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, because I feel like,
No, you're
okay,
barking
And it
up the
looks
right.
like
Okay.
Bill has another comment back
Probably
there.
no longer a lot.
I do want to, we've heard from
some land has to be
both parties. We've heard from several people tonight about the timeliness of this decision. We heard from the developer, who is anxious to move their project along. We've heard from the neighbors who don't want to wait 20 or 30 years to have a park within their neighborhood. So time is of the essence here, and staving it off for some amount of time may not be the best outcome for all parties. Bill, did you have something to add before the city council moves this forward? Come on up to the lectern again, please. Given that you have a major stake in the outcome of this as well, a personal one.
I was hoping that we had an agreement that worked, and frankly, although I think of Mr. Becci as a friend, he really seemed to come from left field for me to be against the getting rid of this pedestrian access. I didn't bring up the point that I would bring up, which is if you have that larger park, I don't think you need this pedestrian access, and the pedestrian access is potentially dangerous because it funnels kids into the East City, to the East Side Marketplace across a very dangerous intersection. There is no intersection there. They just run across. And I can tell you, because I walk there every morning, in the morning there is no gap for kids to cross Highway 8. In the evening there is, because of the Blaine Street light, pulses the traffic coming through. But in the morning, there isn't. I would not allow my children, if I were in this situation and 60 years younger or so, 50 at any rate, I'd make sure they crossed at the Blaine Street light. And I think that the pedestrian access has the potential, now that if we can get those two lots, has the potential to funnel children into a dangerous proposition. And it's not that much. Frankly, I walk there every single day. It's not that much to walk around and come up to the park or go the other direction. I don't think it's necessary given the change in the park, and I would encourage you to make that agreement and take that $20,000 into account, that Thompsons have been willing to compromise that out. That's how I feel, and I'm sorry, Art, but that's the way it is. Thank you. And how you split this thing up, as I said, I'm willing to put this money in. If you decide not to do this, fine. I'll go take a trip or something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else before I call on Dan?
So we're
Trepidation?
Dan?
Yeah, it's dangerous calling on Dan.
I would like to make a motion that we where is it here? Accept the dedication in a method of banking the 9,914 square feet. I don't know if I necessarily need to have it adjacent to the Indian Hills Trading Company. I guess that is the only park that is currently dedicated, so that's why that is mentioned there. Maybe Dwight can clarify this.
Does location have to be specified, Bill?
I guess, two questions. I guess, why did you have it adjacent to the Indian Hills Trading Company property? Just because that's the only other one out there?
Well, I mean, that was certainly a factor, but according to the applicant, that's likely the next area to be developed. And so at that time, if that was to actually happen, at that time we would talk to them about adding on other parkland dedications to that. It was just addition. When they originally gave this to us, I mean, they had that 9914 right here, but I mean, yes, and it was just a place to put it. It's up against the roads, so I mean, has frontage, accessibility, but I mean, it's just so close to the other one and so small, it just didn't make any sense.
Okay.
But at the same time, you could also add
So then
on
my
other
question
parkland dedication to that.
For Bill is then, do I need to specify where it needs to be banked to?
At this point, I don't think you necessarily need to. Some general description about where it's going to be located, I think, would be helpful. But ultimately, when the final plat comes before the council, there's going to need to be a deed of dedication, because you're going to need to be able to determine the suitability of the property for parkland uses. So you're going to need to be able to quantify where it's located so that you can make that determination. And so I don't know necessarily this evening that you need to specify its location, but we need to define that prior to the final plat coming to the council for your review, which could be as soon as August 5th. So that's something that I think Dwight would need to work with the applicant on.
Gary has a point as well. Gary?
You have a partial motion.
Yes,
I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I know, but he's
Code
trying, Dan has,
Getting clarification
Dan
to
has
finish my
solicited clarification from
Correct,
city
correct.
staff, and that's what's occurring right now.
Now, the code states that land acceptable for dedication is not necessarily required to be located within a proposed subdivision. However, the land must conveniently serve parkland needs of the residents of the subdivision. That is the standard.